Hi, ladies. Can everybody hear me? I think I have like 8 participants right now, which is great. And yay, Emily can hear me. Okay, that makes me happy. Then hopefully, if she can hear me, all of you can hear me. All right, so I'm Paula Yost, and I'm here to talk to you guys this morning largely about mental health and staving off panic attacks and managing special needs children and all of the things that you ladies are juggling and helping other people judge 24/7, all the time, all day long. A few things. So while I'm in here talking to you guys, I'm going to have the Zoom webinar chat open. So I welcome you guys to, if you have like a quick question, I welcome you to post it there. Periodically, I'm going to go through the chats and just read what's in there. And if there's something in there that I can answer or explain or help you ladies with, I'm going to do that. But I think what I want to talk to you guys about first is probably the reason most of you logged in to take this class, which is stopping a panic attack. I'm going to talk about that first, but then I'm going to talk about like just general wellness, because at the end of the day, really the way to stave off a panic attack is to have general wellness in the first place. Like if you are not taking care of your body with a few basic health things that you need to do for you, then you're always going to be more likely to have a panic attack. I mean, that's just kind of a fundamental of human behavior. And some of that stuff that I'm going to tell you about is common sense, to be honest with you, but it's things that a lot of people just, we lose sight of self-care when we have special needs children because we are busy and we are torn in between doctor's appointments and IEP meetings and organizing things for school and running from here to there, and just the general emotions that we have, not to mention how difficult that is if you've got anything else going on in your life, like if you're having a marriage problem or a sick parent yourself or anything else, it just kind of bubbles over. So I really want to kind of, if you take nothing away from what I'm going to tell you today, number one, I want you to take an overarching message of how to take care of yourself. And I'm going to give you some various ideas of ways you can do that. You don't have to do them all. It's probably going to be overwhelming if you try to do them all at one time, but you can try to pick like one that you're going to focus on for like a month. It takes 21 days to get a habit. So pick one healthy thing you're going to do for yourself and do it for a month, and then try to add something else. So it's like a gradual increase of healthy lifestyle behavior. The other thing is that I'm going to teach you guys really how to manage a panic attack if you feel one coming on. And we're actually going to do that first. So the first thing I can tell you is if you've had a panic attack before, you know what it is for sure, because you know what it feels like. Most people who have had a panic attack, you know, that tightness of the chest, that hyperventilation feeling, the nausea, the I'm going to throw up feeling that emerges. I used to have those more around IEP time than anything else. I also used to have those around, my child is getting ready to have, my little boy has had bone grafts. So he's had bone taken out of his hips and put into his face. And those days were always really, really difficult for me in terms of panic attack land. So here's what I can tell you if you feel that way and you feel like the panic attack is coming up. Certainly, you kind of can only do so much self-care if you're trying to take care of your child or if you're in the middle of a fight with your spouse or something. But if you're able to, what you want to do is, number one, do the opposite of whatever your body is doing at that moment. So if your body is standing up, I want you to sit down in a chair and breathe really deep. If your body is standing up, or excuse me, if you're sitting down already, I want you to get up and walk. And that might mean like you just walk around your house or you walk up and down a hallway. But if you feel like you're going to panic, do the opposite of what you're doing. Another thing that can help is if you have something close to you, like a bottle of water or a cup of coffee, drink something. Because if you can introduce a hot or a cold substance into your throat, those send signals to your brain, right? So if you're sitting but you stand, or if you're standing but you sit, it signals a shift to your brain that you're doing something different. And the same thing, if you introduce a cold substance or a hot substance into your body, it signals to your brain that you're doing something different. So it redirects energy away from those feelings of panic. The other thing that can help, and we're all going to do this together. So I want you to just kind of sit down where you are in your room, and I want you to put your hands, literally put your fingers on 5 things that you can touch. Okay. So I'm going to kind of talk you through how to do this. So I can touch my hair in my ponytail. I can touch the fabric of my shirt. I can touch the fabric of the chair I'm sitting on. I can touch my skin. I can touch my laptop. I think that was 5 things. If it wasn't 5 things, you get the idea. So I've touched 5 things. The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to see 5 things with my eyes. So I'm looking at my computer screen with you guys. I'm looking at my bottle of water. I'm looking at my window outside, and my cat is on the floor. So I'm looking at my cat. So I just touched 5 things. I saw 4 things. The next thing I'm going to try to do, if I'm able to, is I'm going to try to think of 3 things that I can hear. So for you guys, you can hear my voice, but think of 2 other things that you can hear. So if you can hear your refrigerator buzzing, if you can hear the birds outside, those are 3 things that you can hear. Sarah, you are also absolutely right that this is a grounding method. It should work. I do not think it will send a child into sensory overload, but honestly, I would recommend you ask your child's occupational therapist about it. Some kids are going to do better with this than other kids, but I'm really focusing this more on you as mom versus the kids. It might work though, but I would ask my occupational therapist about it. So we just went through 3 things that you can hear. Now we're going to think about 2 things that you can, I'm sorry, I got on a segue. It's touch, taste, it was touch, see, hear. We're going to now think about 2 things you can smell. So sometimes there's nothing that you can smell. You're just in an area where there's not smell. If you don't have something that you can smell, things that sometimes work, if you can keep like a little miniature bottle of some essential oils, like some lemon oil or some peppermint oil on a keychain or in your purse, sniffing some of those helps sometimes. Also, I think about something that I know I can smell, like something I can bring to my mind. So buttered popcorn. I can always conjure the smell of buttered popcorn. I love coffee. I can always conjure the smell of coffee. I can always make my brain think about red wine or watermelon. So something that you like to taste and smell. I did this one time with a client and she was like, I hate popcorn. I threw it up when I was pregnant. I was like, okay, well then don't think about popcorn. Think about 2 things that you like to smell. And then last, we want to think about something you can taste. So if you're a person who has had a panic attack before, or you're like worried about having panic attacks because you feel that chest tightening, this will really work. For taste, bring a pack of gum, keep a pack of gum in your wallet, keep some peppermints or some Altoids, or literally anything that you can shove in your mouth to give you taste. The reason that grounding works, like it sounds like a bunch of hocus pocus, but it's not. There's a neurological reason why this works. And the reason why it works is because, okay, so if you're looking at your brain back here where my hand is on my own head, this is where your brain controls your hormones. Like all the stuff in your brain that controls hormones is back here. And what's right up here is the part of your brain that operates in executory function. So right up here is how you add 2 + 2 = 4. So like if you think back to days when you were in school, if you sat down to take an algebra test in high school and you were like, oh God, I don't have a clue how to answer this. Like, I don't know what any of these answers are. And the more you think and the more you feel anxiety and like panic and tense up, the less you remember right here. That's a good example of a time when you need to ground. If you have a healthy high school student, teaching them this is very helpful, because what happens is the more you panic, up here is taking your panic hormones like cortisol and it's pushing them down here. It's literally flooding your frontal lobe with bad hormones or stress hormones or fight or flight hormones that make it difficult for you to think and to process and to kind of like live in reality for a minute because you're so upset. So if you can get in touch with your senses, which are just neurological things that your brain controls. Your brain tells your body that you taste, you see, you smell, you feel. If you can engage those things the way we just went through, then what happens is when you get to the end of that exercise, you should feel better. That's the theory, because what it's doing is it's making all these flight or flight hormones kind of go backwards. It's like a wave. It's telling your brain, okay, I'm touching, I'm feeling, I'm hearing, I'm sensing. There's no reason to panic. Those hormones can kind of go back in here where they belong. They don't need to be released right now. And it actually does happen really, I mean, it can happen quite quickly. I know I kind of answered some other questions and I deviated a little bit when I was in there, but was anybody able to do that and actually feel some relief from the process of doing it? I really kind of hope so. That's the goal. All right. So of course I can't see or hear you guys. Yes. Okay. Kelly's saying yes, she was able to do that and feel some relief. So yeah. So that's the goal. So part of the key to staving off a panic attack is preparation. And so, like I said, you don't really need to be prepared. You can almost always find five and four things that you can touch and see. The hearing can be a little bit more challenging, but you can usually find three things you hear. And then the taste and smell can be a little harder. But like I said, you can prepare for that, especially if you're a person who I got an IEP meeting today. And so it may behoove you to, like I said, grab some essential oils, throw those in your purse, and then have like a peppermint that you can suck on and smell in the parking lot before you go in there to just kind of de-escalate. I've done this in private therapy before with clients, and they have had, like, one of my clients wears one of those Apple Watches that keeps up with her pulse. And after we did this exercise, she was like, oh, wow, this really did lower my heart rate. So it really does work for most people. The average healthy person can actually get a lot of relief from that grounding exercise. So I hope that was something you either didn't know about or you hadn't thought about before, didn't understand why it works. Hopefully that gave you like a tool that you can use. Some other just general health and wellness tools that I think every special needs mother needs. The first one is I want to talk about the cycle of coffee and alcohol. So it's funny, right? Like we all, oh my gosh, my kids wake me up so early in the morning. I've got to have a cup of coffee. And so then, I've got coffee. I enjoy coffee. Coffee's one of the things I love to smell. Paula even just said, smell coffee. It'll stave off your panic attack. Same with red wine. Well, now the kids are all in bed. I'm really wound up and jazzed up from everything I did today. I'm just going to have a glass of wine to unwind. Bad behavior pattern, really bad behavior pattern. I know there are 11 of you in this webinar. At least one of you is in that pattern right now, or you're at least in maybe half of it. You might not be coffee and whining every day, but what you might be doing is one or the other. You might be using too much coffee, or you might be using too much wine. So here's what I want to talk to you about to fix that. First of all, I would never tell anyone that you cannot drink coffee at all. Coffee does have some health benefits. I have a cup of coffee every single morning as soon as I wake up. First thing in the day. I love my morning coffee. I look forward to my morning coffee. So I'm not telling you you cannot have coffee. Do not hear me say that. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to make sure you're having a cup of coffee. So, and that cup of coffee is not overwhelmingly full of bad things. That also does not mean you cannot have a latte at Starbucks. You can have a latte at Starbucks. You cannot have a latte at Starbucks every single day. If you do that, it has an overwhelming amount of carbohydrate and an overwhelming amount of calories in it. So even though it's going to taste amazing and it's going to kind of help your body feel some comfort, especially if you're used to caffeine, it's also going to leave you in caffeine withdrawal. It's going to leave you agitated, and it's going to ultimately equal more calories than you need in a day. If you do the basic math on how much, this is almost true of almost everyone. If you have a latte from Starbucks and then you eat like a normal person throughout the rest of the day, your caloric and your carb intake is going to be too high because that cup of coffee is really high. That does not mean I don't occasionally have a latte with a friend on a Saturday, but it means that needs to be in moderation. The coffee that I have in my home that I make myself, there is a recipe on the internet called a bulletproof coffee. That is a great recipe for having a coffee because it has things in it. It's not like a completely black coffee, but you're being more mindful of the sugar and the creamer and all the unhealthy stuff that we can put in our coffee. Juice Life there in Salisbury also sells bulletproof coffee, and it is amazing if you get it there. So if you're on a coffee date, for those of you who live in Salisbury, I highly recommend Juice Life because you can get a very enjoyable but healthy cup of coffee there. Then what you want to do is you want to stop having caffeine for the rest of the day. And I'm including soda in that. Soda is one of the worst things that you can put into your body because it has, one, so much sugar, and two, so much caffeine. I do not drink soda at all. That does not mean that I did not drink soda in the past. I have, but now I don't drink any form of soda whatsoever. It has too much sugar. It has too much caffeine. I have some friends who are like, I hate coffee and I have a Dr. Pepper in the morning when I wake up. Okay, that I can live with as long as it's a Dr. Pepper when you wake up. You do not need to have caffeine, caffeine, caffeine all day long because it makes you irritable. It makes it hard for you to sleep. It creates that coffee to wine cycle. It's just a really, really undesirable path. And then it makes you more irritable. And when you're irritable with your kids, you're irritable with your husband, you're irritable with your boss, you're more likely to be snappy with people like the folks in the IEP meeting. And maybe they deserve you being a little bit snappy, but still you don't want to come across as unduly combative because you are on a caffeine high that you really shouldn't be on. So I have some people who are like, they're way into this cycle. They're drinking like 3 and 4 cups of coffee or 3 and 4, Dr. Peppers a day. And what I'll tell you there is you've got to stave it off gradually. It's kind of like stopping smoking, but it is as important as stopping smoking. The way you cessate yourself from caffeine is to drink water. You have to drink water. Drinking water instead of caffeine will help that taper off. That brings me to my next rant. So this thing right here, I drink this every single day. You can buy this thing on Amazon.com. It's about $15, $20. And what it does, I don't know if you can see this, but it'll tell you, okay, see, I'm behind right now. It'll tell you at 7 a.m., this is how much water you need to drink. This is how much you need to have by 9:30. So what I try to do, and it goes all the way to 7 p.m. There's 64 ounces of water in this. Contrary to popular belief, you will not have to pee all day if you drink 64 ounces of water a day. The average mother, and especially the average special needs mother, does not drink enough water in the first place. Failing to drink enough water, again, it makes you irritable. It makes you subject to urinary tract infection. It doesn't give your body what it needs to feel hydrated. If you feel dehydrated, you are not going to feel like parenting. You are not going to have energy. I mean, I've had to go to the hospital for dehydration in the past, and those days of my life are over. I'm not going to do that to myself or to my kids anymore. But it requires some pre-planning in order to do that. What I found before I bought this big monster bottle that I carry around is that I had these water bottles that were small, and I was trying to do things to like fill them up all day. So I would drink one of them, but then like that one was gone, and then I needed to find more water. And it was like this constant cycle. I was using too much bottled water. I even tried doing weird stuff like putting tick marks in my calendar, like, okay, I've drank 3 bottles of water, but then it was like, well, have I, or have I had 2, or have I had 4? Did I really, was that accurate? Like it just introduced self-doubt. This thing, I don't have any of that. I always have water. The water's always with me. I always know, oh my gosh, I'm way behind. I need to drink. I need to sit and drink right now. The other thing I know to do is if it gets hot, I throw it in the refrigerator, whatever. You can cool it off at any point during the day. I use it when I take vitamins. It's solid. And again, I know that doesn't sound like it's a big deal. I'm like, Paula's on here telling us to drink water. Well, you need to drink water. If you can keep your caffeine down and your water high, you're not going to feel like I need alcohol. You're really not. And then you can really you can have alcohol provided that you don't have an addiction history. If you've got an addiction history, that's another story. But if you want to have, enough wine to feel good on a weekend, you can probably handle that, and it's not going to inflame your body or mess up your skin or anything like that. And if you feel better, you're going to look better. Probably, honestly, the most important health and wellness thing I could tell any woman is, number one, get that coffee to wine cycle under control and replace it with 64 ounces a day of water, because you will be surprised at how much better you feel when your sugar's not up and down all day or caffeine crashes are not happening all day. And if you have alcohol, it's planned. And it's something that like you're doing with your friends and because you really enjoy it. That's definitely a much better lifestyle decision. So that's the first thing I would tell you to do. A few other things. So that helped me a lot that I wanted to talk to you about. One thing that I do every single morning is I floss my teeth. Again, I know that sounds weird, but honestly, because you've all had children and your mothers, your body changes and the acidity of your body changes during your pregnancy. So you're actually far more likely to lose your teeth when you're elderly if you don't get in a habit of flossing your teeth. So the first thing I do every day after I drink my coffee is I brush my teeth and I floss my teeth just so I have good dental health. I don't have time for a bunch of bad dental problems. So I do that. The second thing I do, I hold a plank every day. So planks suck. I'm not gonna lie. I hated them when I first started them because I simply couldn't do them. And a plank's not a big deal. You can do it up on your forearms or you can do it like on your elbows. I had to work my way up to being able to do it on my elbows. I do it for a minute every day. You can do anything for a minute every day. I can hold it for as much as 3 minutes, and I was trying to do it for 3 minutes a day, and that just got crazy. And it made me averse to doing it. So I just do it for a minute every day just to build overall body strength. I take vitamins every day. I talk to my doctor about those. Vitamin D is really important, especially if you have a thyroid condition of any form. Most women are not getting enough vitamin D. Most special needs moms are not getting enough vitamin D, and you need vitamin D in order to have a healthy body. Also, a good vitamin D count is one of the things that helps stave off coronavirus. So that's also very helpful. 2 more things that I do every day that are helpful. So I'm really hesitant to lecture women about diet and nutrition because there are so many women who have had major body image issues or who have had a history of anorexia or bulimia. I am not an eating disorder based counselor, but I think I can speak kind of generally and just say if you're feeding your body a bunch of trash or if you're depriving your body of nutrients, same thing, you're going to feel awful. I can really enjoy going through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru with my kids. I can. I love me some chicken minis and French fries. I'm not going to lie. I do. But if you do that every day, same thing, it just kind of makes your caloric intake too high. It also leads to basic problems like constipation that just makes you irritated. And so if you can really get in a habit of counting your macros. And so that's something you guys might want to write down. I do not look at my calories at all. That's not helpful because if you're just counting your calories, I could leave my house right now and go grab a cup of Starbucks in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru and have eaten enough calories in one sitting as what I need for the whole entire day. Calories don't really help you. I look at my macros. So I downloaded MyFitnessPal years ago, which is free. You can download MyFitnessPal in the App Store at no cost, and you can log in there and you can calculate your proteins, your fats, and it's proteins, fats, and carbs. Okay. I do not do a low carb diet. I do not do any kind of fad diet. I don't try to be keto or anything like that. I just try to say, okay, this is my height. This is my weight. I started this when I was actually overweight from being pregnant, from baby weight. And I was like, this is the weight I'd like to get to. MyFitnessPal will tell you if your goals are unrealistic or too extreme, and it will help you calculate your macros. So you can just do a basic Google search for how do I calculate macros on MyFitnessPal, and it will tell you how to do it. And then you can also download charts off the internet of what is a protein, what is a fat, and what is a carb. You will be surprised at what constitutes a carb. Like raspberries are actually considered a carb. And so I try to eat exactly what MyFitnessPal says I need to eat every day. And I'll tell y'all, protein is the area that I struggle with the most because I'm just not a person who loves meat. I was a vegetarian for a really long time in my 20s. I'm not a person who enjoys protein. Like I'm not going to sit down and eat a ribeye. I'm just not. I don't like it. But what that's meant is that I don't get enough protein. And if you don't get enough protein in your body, same stuff I've been saying, you're going to be irritable because your immune system's going to be lower. You're going to be more likely to injure yourself. How many of you have time to be injured? None of you. You've all got a special needs child that you have to take care of. You physically do not have time to be injured yourself. And you prevent injury by taking care of your body. I started simply introducing protein shakes into my diet and Perfect bars. Perfect bars are amazing. You can buy them at Aldi. You can buy them at Target. You can buy them at Walmart. They are not in the regular protein bar section. Don't go there. Don't go there at all. Go over to the yogurt aisle because Perfect bars have egg in them. And they don't taste like egg. Don't let that freak you out. But they are very, very good. They're an excellent source of protein. They're also an excellent source of healthy fat. So almost every day I try to hit my macros and I have plenty of energy because my body has fuel. Before I started counting my macros, I would do crazy stuff. Like I just wouldn't eat all day. And I would be like, and then it would be 5 o'clock at night and I'm like starving because I haven't eaten all day. And then I'm starving down like, 6 pieces of pizza and a beer. That's no way to live. And then you wonder why you're not losing any weight and why you can't get rid of the baby fat. Well, you can't get rid of the baby fat because you're not taking care of your body, period, in the first place. And this is all like wishful thinking. So nutrition is a big, big, big deal. Next, I'm going to talk to you about exercise. Yes, you do have time to exercise. And if you think you don't, you need to do it twice as much. This, again, it all goes back to irritability. Every single thing I'm telling you is about irritability, depression, and your mood. Um, I used to suffer from pretty significant clinical depression, and that was before I had my kids. But ever since I started making really healthy lifestyle decisions, I don't need antidepressant medication anymore because my baseline body is in good shape. Like, I am a healthy weight. I eat, my macros every day. So my body's fueled. I'm taking vitamins that my doctor recommended that I take. I'm drinking my water, so I'm hydrated. And then the other thing that I do is I do exercise. You do not have to exercise every day. In fact, please don't, because that's setting yourself up for an injury. You don't need to run a 5K every day. Where you really need to do, if you're doing nothing, like if you're just being completely sedentary, I would actually recommend that you get your nutrition and your water under control first. Because I don't care if you run a marathon every single day, you cannot outwork what you eat. It's impossible. You have to have the kitchen under control first. I used to do the opposite of that. I like physical activity. So I used to be a person who would really, really work out, and I would really enjoy working out. But then I would eat like crap. Well, then I just undid every single thing that I had done in the gym. There's no reason to do that. That's just foolhardy. You're better off to just not work out and just eat healthy than you are to work out like a fool and then kind of eat. You're basically just wasting your time if you do that. So if you've got nutrition and water under control, then that's when we look at working out. I work out 5 days a week. I'm going to tell you what I do for those days because many of them are things you can do. 2 days a week, I just go for a walk. Nothing impressive at all. I throw my kids in a stroller, and we walk around my neighborhood. The total length of my neighborhood is about 2.5 miles. You guys have beautiful greenway in Rowan County. So hit your greenway, throw those kids in a stroller, go for a walk. My oldest child rides his bike with us now. He doesn't ride in the stroller. He's 7. So we bought him a bike from the pedal factory in downtown Salisbury, and he rides a bike while I push little brothers in the stroller. So that's 2 days a week. It's just a simple walk, nothing exciting. I'm not running a marathon. The other 2 days a week, I lift weights. I lift weights because I am over 40. If you are under 40 and you're not in menopause or perimenopause yet, you're probably okay not weightlifting. But if you're getting to that 40 and up, I'm actually went into menopause prematurely. So my doctor was like, you have to start lifting because if you don't lift, you're not going to be able to protect your body. So lifting is the most important exercise you can do. If you don't do anything else, learn how to weightlift. Take a weightlifting class at the local YMCA, go to the local Y or wherever you can find somewhere that has weight accessibility. Planet Fitness is pretty cheap, but I don't know if they have just cardio or if they have weightlifting. But I strongly recommend you find somewhere to weightlift. You will burn more calories, your body will look better, you will feel better, and you will have higher bone density if you lift than if you run a marathon every single day. Because your body it does better with weightlifting. You're not going to look like some huge bodybuilding crazy town lady or anything like that, but you're going to be strong and you're going to be able to do things like get off your toilet when you're 70. You're also going to be able to keep up with your wild children at Great Wolf Lodge, or, if your child needs to be lifted or moved. Many of you are going to need the physical capability to carry and lift your children for a very long time. And so having some physical strength is really important. All this stuff, if you're sitting there going, Paula, this is too much, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not going to be able to do all of that because I have all this other stuff to do. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And not only can you, but you must. Because the simple reality is that you cannot take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself. And if you are in a bad mood all the time because you're feeding your body trash, you're over caffeinated, you're never getting to move, and you're weak, you're not going to be good for anybody. You're going to die when you're 50 or 60. And so you don't want that. You really have, we are not 20-year-olds anymore, most of us. We are moms. I mean, some of you are 20. God, to have had a baby in my 20s and be able to have gone back to that body a little easier. I had all my babies between 33 and 38. So it was a lot. But the more you can take care of yourself, the better you're going to be able to take care of everyone else, and the higher level of patience you're going to have to be able to take care of everyone else. The fifth thing I do every day, so I said there are 5 workouts, 2 are just a simple walk, 2 are weightlifting. The last thing I do is I go to yoga. The pandemic has really kind of been crippling to yoga, but usually you can find yoga online. That's great if you can find it online, although there's no replacing what you can do in a studio. You have great yoga studios in Salisbury. You have great yoga teachers in Salisbury. Yoga is good for you for so many reasons, because it's not just your physical body that's benefiting, it's your mental health that's benefiting. There is no, I have never been able to do anything for my mental health other than really getting into meditation, which I'm going to talk about next. But I've never been able to do anything for my mental health that helped me the way that the Shavasana, which follows a yoga class, helps me. If you've never had that experience, that is like the first thing you need to do, is find a yoga class that you can take and just do it, and just kind of give your body that opportunity to stretch and release. Yoga's not scary. I'm a certified yoga teacher. I just don't teach in Salisbury. I teach at a studio in Concord. But we're not going to turn you into a pretzel or make you stand on your head. There are beginners classes. Literally anyone can do yoga. You can do yoga and be good at it if you're 90. My 4-year-old does yoga all the time. So you can do it. You just kind of have to find a teacher that works for you. But I do a lot of yoga because of the neurobiological benefits to it. And again, causing those stress hormones to go backwards. That's really, really beneficial. I talked earlier about essential oils and keeping some of those in your purse. I think that's a really big deal. That's kind of like some real hippie stuff though. I do that. The only thing I'll tell you about that is if you're a person who wants to integrate some essential oils into your life, be careful about what you're buying. Some of the stuff that you can buy at like CVS and things like that, it's really, it's low grade and it's mixed with other stuff. So if you start trying to use an essential oil that you bought, somewhere like the drugstore, and you start to feel like it's making you sick, basically what you purchased is an essential oil that is the equivalent of cheap cologne. So yeah, if you buy cheap cologne, you're going to feel sick. You'd be better off to not wear or have anything in your home. But if you buy a more expensive quality, if you can afford that, then that might help a little bit with like your 5 senses and engaging those. The last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is meditation. And so I will tell you, when people first started talking to me about meditation, I was like, I rolled the back of my head. I was like, that doesn't work. Number 2, I was like, that's some weird religious thing that, I was just very like, I was like, full stop. I'm not going to do that at all. And then, I was having a lot of anxiety and I was dealing with some depression, and I was doing all the health stuff. I was really doing all the health stuff, and I was feeling better. I was definitely feeling better. But you guys know how it is when your child is sick. There's some stuff that is so far beyond your control that you're not going to be able to fix that with water and healthy food and going for a walk, because there's some stuff that is so much bigger than you that even basic physical care is not going to completely make you feel better. Meditation is the thing that has helped me calm that down. So I'm going to give you guys the abridged version of what I have learned. First of all, there is a book that I strongly recommend all of you read. It is called 10% Happier. And I believe the author's name is James Harris. 10% Happier is a New York Times bestseller. It was written by an ABC News anchor who used to work for Peter Jennings, about how he discovered meditation as part of Peter Jennings making him air programs on religion and spiritualism for ABC News, and all of the people that he interviewed in the course of this, and how he also thought, like I did, that it was a big heap and pile of hogwash and it wasn't going to help anybody. So first of all, I think that book is very helpful for you to really understand like what you're doing. Glennon Doyle, if any of you have read Glennon Doyle's books, she also has some really good things to say about meditation. If you're a reader, those are the two books I would tell you to check out, is 10% Happier and Glennon Doyle. If you're like, Paula, I don't have time to read, or I don't like reading in the first place, that's fine. Shelve that idea. You don't have to read if you don't want to read. So we cannot worry about that right now. So if we're going to not read, the other thing I can tell you to do, there is an app. You can download it for free off the App Store for 7 days. It's called Calm, C-A-L-M. The Calm app has 2 things on it that I really like. The first thing is called the Daily Calm. It's 10 minutes. The second thing is called the Daily Trip. If you've never done this before, start with the Daily Calm. Just pick the Daily Calm. Try not to do it before bed when you're laying in your bed, because I can guarantee you you're going to fall asleep. However, that's okay if you need to fall asleep and you're trying to get yourself in a habit of falling asleep without alcohol, then cool, have at it. But I prefer to do it, actually outside of this window is my porch swing. I prefer to sit on my porch swing to do it when my children are in school or somewhere that's not right on top of me, or if my husband is home, or I do it late at night when all of my kids are asleep. And my husband is hopefully also asleep. But I listen to the Daily Calm. And so that was a great introduction into how to understand what meditation is and start it. I have never listened to a 10-minute Daily Calm and not felt better when I was done with it than I was when I started it. On that same vein with the Daily Calm and how helpful I find the Daily Calm, the Daily Trip has kind of taken that up a level. So I've gotten a lot more depth into what I'm doing from the Daily Trip than I have from the Daily Calm. So here's what I want to tell you. Meditation is one of those things that people try to do and then they quit because they can't sit still, or they're bored, or they think it doesn't help them. You're not going to get the benefits of meditation unless you do it over a period of time, because it is exactly like healthy eating and healthy exercise. You're not going to lose 20 pounds because you ate healthy today and went for a walk in your neighborhood. You're going to lose 20 pounds because you ate healthy and went for a walk and did other exercises several days a week over a prolonged period of time, probably 6 months. So it's not a light switch. It's not something you can just do and not continue with. The point of meditation is to watch your thoughts. So that seems really weird. So I'm going to try to explain it to you this way. So if I'm meditating and I am, monitoring my breathing, I'm trying to focus on, okay, breath goes in, there's a pause, breath goes out. I'm trying to feel where my breath is. So if I'm focused on my breath, my mind's not wandering to the to-do list. It's not thinking about if I've done everything my kids need, if I made that doctor's appointment, it's not running through the laundry list of stuff that I have to do and need to do for the kids. That's kind of on a shelf because I'm focused on my breath. That doesn't mean, however, that my brain is not going to go back to things for the kids, or that it's not going to replay a conversation I had with someone that irritated me that day, or any number of things that your brain thinks about all day long. But here's what's important to understand. Your brain talks to you all day long. The minute you wake up, all day long, it's here. There's chatter. There's chatter going on. What I've discovered is that chatter that's going on, that's not all organic to who Paula is. That's not my true self. That's not deep in my soul what's going on. That is sometimes the voice of my mother when I was growing up, which is not always a helpful voice. That voice is the voice that social pressures have put on me. That voice is other mothers or other people telling me what they think I should do for my child, which may or may not be the right thing to do for my child. That's their opinion. And normally it's an uninformed opinion. It's all kinds of stuff that isn't necessarily organic to me and my true self. And it makes me tired. It is exhausting. You may not talk to a single individual for an entire 24-hour period, but this is still going on in your mind. So with meditation, the goal is to tell this to take a break. And so if you're sitting there and you're focused on your breath, it's harder to think about this, but this will try to talk to you. And if it's trying to talk to you, what I say to myself or to this chatter that goes on up here is I say, noted, thank you. And then I go back to my breath. And every time that happens, I make myself go back to my breath. This takes practice. This is hard. It's actually, to be honest with you, I have 4 college degrees and 4 professional licenses, and learning to control the chatter in my brain is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's also the thing that has helped me overcome anxiety and depression and make me feel like the person who is in control of my life is me, and organically me, and not this noise that's going on up here. So it takes time because you have to train yourself to do this. But now what happens is I've done this for so long that now what happens is when this stuff begins and I start to feel aggravated, I'll shut my door, I'll sit down, I will find 10 minutes somewhere in the day because I know that this is the thing that keeps me mentally stable. This and exercise is what keeps me mentally stable. So I'll sit down, I'll make myself do that. And now what happens is when inappropriate thoughts and chatter and things that come into my mind that in the past would have made me depressed or sad or worried about things that were hypothetical in nature that may not ever happen, or things that upset me or fears for the future, I was able to say, not today, because those are just thoughts. Thoughts are not reality. Thoughts are just thoughts. That's literally all thoughts are. They're just thoughts. And they're like cars. If I took a lounge chair and I put my lounge chair off Julian Road right beside Hobby Lobby, and I just watched cars go up and down 85, that's kind of how our thoughts race, right? They're like cars riding up and down 85. There's a lot of them. They're going really fast. They're all kinds of stuff. I don't have to chase those cars. I don't have to get in the car with those people. I don't have to deal with those thoughts at all. I can just sit there and say, okay, I see it. I see the cars driving down the road, but that car driving down the road does not control me. And that's the same thing with your thoughts. So that is really why meditation is important. Yoga is something that supports that, but really what's the most important thing that you can do for your health and wellness is to really get that thought chatter under control, because that thought chatter is really what leaves us depressed and anxious and upset because we can't get it to stop. Ruminating thoughts are the worst. I used to have those when I was younger, but I don't really have those anymore because I just simply don't engage those thoughts now. That doesn't mean I don't start to have them, but it means, I don't get in those cars. I don't chase them. I hope this was helpful. I think that's about all I had. Does anyone have a question or a comment? If anyone wants to just I think you guys can actually talk to me. I honestly don't know that, but I think you can. If anyone wants to talk to me, I welcome you to do that.
I don't know if they can, hey Paul, it's Cassie. I don't know if they can talk to you from their side of it because you have to be administrator, but they can definitely post questions in the chat, or they can use the Q&A chat bar also.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad this was helpful. I really wanted it to be. I didn't want to waste your time this morning. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, just so you guys know, I'm gonna type my email address into the Zoom chat. And so if any of you have a follow-up question for me that you would like to ask that we haven't had a chance to talk about in here, please just send me an email. The high quality essential oils are usually two companies. It's usually doTERRA or Young Living. I just typed out how you spell that in the chat. One of the things that I really don't like about essential oils, I mean, I love them because of the benefits and the things you can do to engage your sense of smell, but they can be kind of expensive. Like doTERRA is an expensive product. It just is. But the good thing though is that a very small amount can go a really long way. Like you don't have to use a ton of it. You can use 2 or 3 little drops at a time, and that can be really helpful. And I found that that kind of stuff does help calm children down too. And doTERRA actually has a children's line. So you can purchase like the children's line of doTERRA oils, and they have like a calming oil and things like that that you can use on kids. All right. I think that's all I've got for you guys. So thanks for having me. It was really good to be with you this morning. Like I said, my email's in the chat. Feel free to send me a note if you have any questions. And I hope you guys have a great day. Amy, I'm just going to, or Cassidy, I'm just going to end this thing. So if either of you need me to do anything else, just text my phone. Thanks, ladies. Have a great day.
Thank you, Paula. You did an amazing job. Thank you so much.